Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today's request is from DC Stealth. DC asked me if I've ever done gnocchi in the air fryer. Now, I have not done gnocchi in the air fryer, so I thought this is a great adventure for me to try. But I'm gonna do one better. We are gonna make the gnocchi from scratch, and I'm gonna make one gluten-free and one regular. So this adventure just kicked up a notch. So are you ready for this? Let's get started and go have some fun, because I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a lot of fun. My gnocchi may not look like gnocchi, but you know what? Fun will be had. So let's go. All right, you guys, let's just jump right in. So just so you know, if you're making this with me, you do need about 20 minutes for this to sit and relax after we make it. So don't just jam it in your air fryer right as soon as we're done. We're gonna let it rest for 20 minutes. So let's do the gluten-free one first. So we are going to pour out our flour onto the board. So let's make a well right here in the middle, and we're gonna put in our half a teaspoon of salt, and this is 1 cup of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg. Okay, so I'm just going to poke it a little bit, and then we're just going to make this. And making it on a pastry mat of some sort is definitely a good idea because it doesn't stick, and it won't stick because it will be a sticky dough at some point. Okay, so once we kind of have a little bit mixed up, not too much, we're gonna start ricing these potatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep my dirty hand here, and this is 1 pound of potatoes. Do not use baby potatoes in this. Apparently the baby potatoes are too starchy and it just won't work for this recipe. So I'm just going to stick a few of my potatoes into my ricer, and we are going to rice them right into the middle where that egg is. Now, if you don't have a ricer, what can you do? I get asked that a lot when I'm using a ricer. If my friends are over and they're like, hey, you know, what are you doing? How come, you know, you have a ricer? I mean, like, I'm Norwegian, I have a ricer. I don't know. But you can instead use a grater. Use the fine part of the grater, and you can actually grate your potatoes, and that is nearly the same as ricing. So let me see if I can get it in here. Do you see that? They look almost identical. So if you don't have a ricer, definitely you can use the fine side of your grater. And these are boiled cooked potatoes that I have peeled, and they have cooled to just lukewarm before I'm ricing them. Very important that they're still warm when you rice, but not hot so you don't burn yourself. All right, and once our pound of potatoes is all ready to go, we are going to massage this until a ball of dough forms. Now, what I have seen and read and seen is that it takes a hot minute. So it may take a minute for you to bring it all together, but it should come together and not be sticky at all. So you may be watching this in fast forward, but this is what we're gonna do. So we're just going to push that down in there, and then we're gonna start folding the flour through to the egg like that. And then we're just gonna start squishing it. Mama said, don't play with your food. She never made gnocchi. In hindsight, I probably should have done the glutinous one first, the wheat one first, so I know exactly how the dough should look whenever it's done. That's okay, I'm adventurous. It'll all work out. And the dough is coming together really nicely, so I'm not too worried, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I have no idea how this dough is supposed to set up. So I just know that when it's done, it's not supposed to be sticky. So that's what we're gonna go with. Okay, that looks fantastic. You are going to need a bench scraper, and we are going to, I'm just gonna half the dough for right at the moment. And then what we're gonna do is maybe I'm gonna quarter it actually. Definitely different dough than a wheat dough. So what we're going to do is we're gonna roll this into a rope. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how skinny to roll this, but we're just gonna guess that it's about that big. And then we are going to cut this rope into little pieces. And if I was a good Italian, which I'm not Italian at all, I would have a gnocchi board, but since I don't, we are going to use a fork. And we are going to push this gnocchi over the fork in some manner, because you're supposed to be able to just push it down and then you have a piece of gnocchi. So, I don't know. Is that gnocchi? We'll say that's gnocchi. No hate comments, please. My first time making gnocchi. Okay, here we go again. Gluten-free is just so much harder though. It's not the most beautiful gnocchi in all the world, but it'll work. Whew, and done. Okay, so now we need to let these sit for 20 minutes. And they're not terrible. Like, I didn't do a terrible job, but they're definitely not perfect. Here is an up close of the gluten-free gnocchi. All right, time for our wheat ones. So we're gonna do the same thing. We are going to pour our flour in, make a well, add in our salt, add in our egg, give it a little stir with our fingers, and now we will rice the potatoes. There we go, and now we're gonna do everything the same. Let's bring this together in a dough. This dough feels way better than the gluten-free one for good reason. It's not gluten-free. However, it feels much stickier than my gluten-free one, and it is not supposed to be sticky. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more flour. All right, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit more flour, just a little bit at a time, to see if I can get it to not be that sticky, because it definitely needs to not be sticky. Oh yeah, so much better. Just like that teaspoon more of flour has made this turn into much better of a consistency. All right, so now that we have our cool little dough ball, and as you can see, not sticky, we are gonna divide it into 4. And then we are gonna roll this into a log. And this one is so much easier to roll than the gluten-free one, because that gluten has formed and is kind of like a rubber band, an elastic rubber band. All right, and just like with the other one, we are gonna cut these into about 3/4 of an inch squares. And now we're gonna make the gnocchi. So this one will be way easier because it's actually glutinous pasta. But we're gonna push it onto the fork and then we're going to roll going down. Boom. Perfect. Now, the idea of how you're gonna roll is you're actually creating a little, the roll on the top and the little pockets of, like it folds over on itself just a little bit. So my technique needs some work. Okay, I feel like my dough's still a little bit sticky. So I'm gonna put some flour over here and roll it into some flour and then push it over my fork. Yeah, that's working way better. The recipe did say to sprinkle them with flour when you got done with them so they didn't stick together, and those ones aren't sticking at all, but these ones really, I can see why they need the flour. I did read that you don't have to do this step, that like this is traditional gnocchi, but you can leave them in the little pillow form and that's just as acceptable, or roll them into balls and that's acceptable too. I've also seen some people who kind of roll them into balls and then they just have like one little, you know, mark on them like this, and that's a gnocchi. But I decided that since, you know, we're doing this here together, that I wanted to really try to do it the right way. I don't want to say the right way because this is definitely not the right way, but it is a way. And it looks like gnocchi. And eventually I'll learn how to do it better. I watched several videos, apparently. Not the right videos. I don't know if it's right, but it's gonna taste great. And there we go. So there we have our wheat gnocchi. It's been 20 minutes for these. It's not quite been 20 minutes for these, so we're just gonna work on the gluten-free ones first. So first of all, we're gonna preheat our air fryer to 350. All right, there we go. Next, we are going to toss our gnocchi in some olive oil and some seasonings. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set the gnocchi in here very carefully. The gluten-free ones don't seem to be sticking much at all, so I didn't have to use any extra flour, but these guys, I don't know if you can see that. When I started to pick them up, they were really sticking together. So just keep that in mind, keep some extra flour on hand, toss some extra flour. And I'm gonna keep a few of the gluten-free ones back because I wanna try something when we're all done. I wanna see what they do when they boil, and I wanna see what they do in the basket as well. Because I've gotta know, you've gotta know, we've got to know. Okay, so I'm gonna drizzle with olive oil, and then I am going to take 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and I'm gonna sprinkle it all over everything, and then we're gonna toss to combine and coat everything. They're kind of sticking a little bit, so let's just toss them around a bit. Haha, looks great. I accidentally cut one. Oops, sorry, they're fragile. All right, now we're just going to place the gnocchi right on our tray. If you have an air fryer with a basket, you just put them in your basket. All right, once they're on their tray, we're gonna get them in for 10 to 15 minutes. All right, perfect. Now let's work on the gluten ones. Okay, let's take a look at these. Oh man, those look amazing. Hold on. Look at how beautiful those are looking already. Oh man. Okay, so here's the part where we've got to turn them all over or shake them around now that they're not sticking to each other. So be sure you shake your basket or turn them over a couple times during cooking. Time's up, time for them to come out. And look at that. They look like little tater tots. Oh my goodness. That is so cute. Okay, let's get these guys in and we'll see you in about 15-20 minutes. Wow, that looks fantastic, and they taste. Those are the gluten-free ones, and I would 100% make those again. That is fantastic. They're crunchy on the outside and they're soft in the inside, and they are super. Let's see if I can break into one. They're like little fried dough balls. They're amazing. That is an experience. Wow. Oh my word. They are so incredibly good. I'll be back in just a few minutes. They too look like little tater tots. Little puffy tater tots of gnocchi goodness. So this one is the wheat version, and it is definitely a little crispier because I left it in a little longer. And this is the gluten-free version. So let's break into one of these. Ooh, pillowy goodness. And I'll taste one of these. There it is. Hot. That is such a weird experience in my mouth. That is, wow, that is so weird. Because I feel like it tastes like a gnocchi, but it's crunchy and it kind of tastes a little bit like a cloud, but yet it's crunchy. I don't even know how to explain it. This is, if you like gnocchi, you should try gnocchi in your air fryer. Now, I did go ahead and boil some of the gnocchi for the recipe that I was using. The boiled gluten-free one, tastes just like a gnocchi would. Really soft. Very soft, very pillowy, just like a gnocchi would be. You guys, this is a great thing. Gnocchi in your air fryer is amazing. Now, I know some of you will want to see if I can do the gnocchi in the basket so that I don't have to fiddle with it and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn. So at the end of this video, you will see the results, but I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye to the rest of you. If you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. All right, you guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, it's up. Let's check the result. Oh my goodness. Okay, so they look fantastic, but rolling in the basket, the shape is totally, it's gone. Just looks like a tater tot. So if you don't mind the gnocchi looking like tater tots, this is totally valid, doing it in the basket. Those are the oddest looking tater tots. They're the oddest looking gnocchi too. And they taste probably just as good as the other ones. Gnocchi in the air fryer, you guys. That's something else. Well, I need to get better at my gnocchi rolling, but other than that, we're gonna count this adventure done.